Strap in, buckle up, and get ready to lay it on the line. This is Not Speeding, Just Qualifying, a podcast that's just as fast as it sounds. What's up, family? Welcome to an all-new episode of the Not Speeding, Just Qualifying podcast. I am David Lawrence, and I appreciate you for joining me today. Before I get started, make sure your qualifying setup is all dialed in and ready to go for pole position. Hit the subscribe button on your YouTube channel or search Not Speeding, Just Qualifying in the podcast section of the YouTube Music app to subscribe to us today. This week, we are getting ready for the 24 Hours of Le Mans. On yesterday's show, I gave you a rundown on the race's history up to the present day. For today and tomorrow's episodes, the focus will be on this year's race. We will do a class-by-class breakdown of all three classes you will see on track this weekend as the 62 participants engage in their quest for victory. To help me go through each of these classes, I've called on a friend and colleague that's as passionate as I am about sports car racing to help me break it all down. That friend is none other than my GT Report colleague, Dylan Spaulding. So today, here is part one of my interview and conversation with Dylan on our class previews for this year's 24 hours. Like in a similar format to the real qualifying sessions, we will break them up and discuss LMP2 and GT3 today. Enjoy. All right, family. Glad you're with us on this podcast. We are getting ready for the 93rd running of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. I can't preview 62 cars or three classes by myself, so I had to draft in a little bit of help. I'm glad to have the newest member of Dirty Money Racing. I'm just kidding. He told me to put that in there, but nah, he is my good friend and colleague over at GT Report. He also is my co-host. Glad to announce our newest project, the Stateside Endurance Podcast, through the GT Report website. Welcome to the Not Speeding Just Qualifying podcast, my good friend, the one, the only, the hilarious Dylan Spaulding.
Oh no, it froze. I was gonna do like a bow and stuff, even though we're not on the air.
What's going on, baby?
What's going on, man? Happy to be on. Always exciting to talk sports car racing, especially when it's one of the biggest sports car races of the year in the form of Le Mans. So Le Mans, geez, okay, I need to say that correctly. I'm excited, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Get to talk a little bit of sports car racing with you, and it's been a lot of fun getting to work with you at GT Report. And looking forward to hopefully more to come as we kind of embark on this journey, per se, here in 2025 and beyond. We'll see what ends up happening.
Amen. So I want to kick off. We'll kick off. We'll go from small to big. We'll start in GT3. Biggest story, I would say, one of the bigger stories. Mercedes back at Le Mans for the first time since 1999. 3 cars with the Iron Lynx team. Even though they're just in GT3, in your opinion, how big is it to see Mercedes back at Le Mans on the grid?
Well, it's always great to have a new, I shouldn't say a new manufacturer, but a returning manufacturer back on the grid, in the form of Mercedes, and especially in a team like Iron Lynx, has seen a lot of success in terms of with their Lamborghini program. Obviously, different manufacturer, different expectations, and it's obviously going to take some time for them to kind of get acclimated to a new program and a new, manufacturer and the way they like to do things. So, overall, exciting news with that. Obviously there are some exciting new teams as well. With that being said, obviously you have teams like Thor and Heart of Racing, if you will, that is on the grid this year. You have teams like McLaren and United is an exciting duo. So there's a lot of exciting entries this year on this list, and I'm looking forward to getting to see how a lot of them fare. We've obviously had a couple days here of testing and qualifying and practice and such, and obviously that'll just continue into tomorrow and into Friday. Obviously Saturday's a big race, but yeah, it's so far it's awesome to see Mercedes back on the grid, especially in a full-time capacity, and it's a good thing to see them, continuing their programs. Obviously, a big loss though, losing Lamborghini, definitely disappointing for the series. But at least they still were able to gain a very competitive program like a Mercedes AMG program is. So.
Well, really well said. I know you mentioned some new, but let me go back. Let's kind of pick up on a team that's already been here. Proton Competition, of course, they're Ford's arm in the World Endurance Championship. They're starting to pick up some momentum with this Mustang. They were third and fourth in the race last year. Coming off Spa, they finished on the podium second and fourth. Heard Dennis Olsen talk to Sports Car 365, and there's some optimism in that Ford camp. For you, what's your outlook on the Proton Fords going into the Le Mans, especially after the performances we saw of them at Daytona?
Well, obviously Ford has been very strong, and obviously Proton in IMSA has been running Porsche the last couple of races here
Right.
in IMSA. But I mean, overall, Ford, in general, has had a really good strong year, right? Like with the Daytona win, with Multimatic in IMSA, with their success even just recently at Detroit. In IMSA, obviously they've had some pretty strong runs in WEC as well so far this year. And having a two-car program really helps as well for their LMGT3 efforts. So, I think a lot of teams are understanding that car. Obviously, after year one, it's going to take some time to get used to that car. It's going to be hitting the track at each location for the first time ever, so it takes some time to get used to that, used to the car and how it handles on the track, how it kind of adjusts and such. So, I mean, overall, I think Ford has a lot of high momentum going into this race, and especially coming off the backs of a big announcement like them starting up a hypercar program here in a couple of years. Ford's committed to this, right? Like they want to be able to not only win in class, but win at the top level and win at the overall for Le Mans, which hasn't been done by an American manufacturer in years. It's been very, very long time since we've had an American manufacturer win overall honors in Le Mans. And it could happen this year. Cadillac could potentially win this year. You just never know. Cadillac has got strength in numbers, if you will, this year with them and Porsche as well, having strength in numbers. So, it's going to be interesting to see how Ford fares. I do think that there is a lot more confidence and optimism heading into this year, just given that they're got a year under their belt and they're developed. I don't want to say developed, but they're an experienced team. Let's say that. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they fare.
Sweet. Now let's kind of turn the page just a little bit. Is there a particular driver that you are looking forward to seeing in GT3 for this race?
Ooh. I'm gonna have to look through this here. Dang. I mean, obviously, you always gotta love Ben Keating.
True.
He's always a fun guy, and he seems to always get the job done here at this track. There's a lot. I mean, it's really, there's so many good drivers. It's almost you really just can't name one. I guess we can look at teams more, say. I really like the Manthey group. Obviously, you have guys like Klaus Bachler, Ryan Hardwick, who's been in that Porsche camp for a decent amount of time. So I like some of the guys they have there. Heart of Racing team, their LMGT3 program. How about Ian James, right? Such a busy character. What an amazing figure he is in the sports car world. And not only for him to be the owner in one of the biggest weekends of his career, potentially, given that they'll be fielding two Aston Martin Valkyries in the Le Mans race at the top level class. He's also going to be running the Le Mans 24 hours and having a chance to win that race as well in the class. So, like to always see when owners get a chance to run. And AWA as well. AWA Racing, they were the team that won the Bob Aiken Award last season, and obviously started out very strong this year with their win at the Rolex 24. So that's a team that's coming in with some 24-hour momentum here and heading into this weekend in France. So and they can make some history. I was trying to see if there was any stat where it was like teams winning 24-hour races all in the same year. at least some of the major ones, and I wasn't able to really find anything on that. So, but it would definitely be a history making moment if they're able to win both Rolex and Le Mans. And obviously they have a very nice livery. If anybody has seen it, it is rather clean. I
One
really like
of
the
the
livery that
one of the best liveries that we got at
it's
Lamar
cool.
has to be that
It's cool.
Canadian flag Corvette.
Hmm.
All right, last question before we move on to LMP2. So far, three different brands. Corvette won in Qatar, Porsche won at Imola, Ferrari won at Spa. Based off of what we've seen from the test day, what we've seen so far this year, do we get a fourth different winner? Do one of them repeat? If we do get a fourth winner, which brand do you see coming out on top?
Ooh, I think Porsche is going to take it.
Ah,
The Manthis have always been really strong at this track.
true.
That camp has always done a really good job at this circuit. And there's obviously a handful of Porsches. You have the Iron Dames, which unfortunately took a big blow this week. Michelle Gadding, unfortunately, breaking her ankle. I think it was correct. She broke her ankle. It was something in that nature. Something with her leg she broke. So hopefully for a speedy recovery for her. Obviously very disappointing that she won't be running this race this weekend. She was replaced by Sarah Bovey, who will be racing this weekend for the team. So, but I'm going to go with Porsche and the Porsche camp. I think one of the Manthis might take it out. I'm also intrigued by Lexus. Arnold Robin is in that group. Finn Gersitz is also on that lineup as well. Watch out for Lexus this weekend. I don't know why, but I feel like they could be a team that could really make some noise. I just have a feeling. So,
Is it by any chance because Lexus topped both of the test day sessions in GT3?
it's possible, but they looked really well. No, but I also really think Lexus has a good shot this year. I do. Lexus is always a strong team to begin with, and that ASP team is usually pretty good. So, give me Lexus to potentially make some noise per se in that race this weekend. So we'll see.
I love it. All right, let's shift gears. Let's go to the middle class. LMP2, they're not part of the World Endurance Championship, but they do get to come to Le Mans as a little bit of an invitational class of sorts. 17 cars on the entry list, and we got a whole list. Proton has 2 cars, United Autosport from IMSA, Europol from IMSA, which you and me both know pretty well. AF Course, and our favorites, Spike, aka AO Racing by TF Sport. We got a solid mix of full pro and then the subclass pro-am, so it's literally kind of like split in the middle. How do you think that mix of pro and pro-ams are going to cooperate, work together, and how do you think that's going to play into how the LMP2 class plays out?
Yeah, I don't know if that would really like be a huge factor per se. And the only reason I say that is again, it's a 24-hour race, and
Right.
I just feel like as you get into the race, it's kind of the stuff like that kind of gets lost in the shuffle, if you will, until we get towards kind of the end of the race and things kind of start playing out for class honors and wins and everything like that. So I don't know if I would say that's going to be a real big thing, and especially too with how talented this grid is for LMP2. Like there are some ridiculous names on this grid, like guys who have won Le Mans before, who have that success, like have that resume, if you will. So I don't know if that's going to really affect anything per se, because obviously pro-am teams have to field a bronze rated driver. They have to have a bronze rated driver in their lineup. I don't know if that's really going to be a huge factor. I mean, it could be, but you got a lot of guys here who are bronze rated. I mean, you got Mikkel Jensen, who's got a ton of experience in these cars. Nick Boulay has a ton of experience in these cars. George Kurtz, another guy who's got a decent amount of experience. PJ Hyatt, same thing. The other guy who's got a ton of experience. Like, there's a lot of these guys who are bronze rated drivers who honestly have a lot of racing experience through IMSA and their other series or European Le Mans. So I don't know if it'll be too much of a factor, but it is going to be a very exciting class to watch with all the talent that's going to be involved in it.
So as always, Orca's the one and only chassis in the class this year. So we don't have too much of that variety from that standpoint. And but there still is a lot of intrigue here. Biggest question I think I would have is with United. I know you mentioned United Autosport earlier, especially with GT3 and McLaren, but they definitely have a strong presence here. What's your top team as you are looking? We got Machina Racing by way of IDEX Sport. We have the aforementioned United Autosports. We have Proton with 2 cars. Who do you see factoring in when we get to Sunday morning and we're getting into the final 2 hours? Who do you see in that spot?
Yeah, this is tough. I mean, I'll give like 2 or 3, just kind of more teams. Obviously, I really like Inter Europol. They're a team that's always had success at this race, and they bring 2 very strong programs coming into this weekend. So I'm very excited to see how they fare, and if they're able to pick up another Le Mans 24-hour victory in class. IDEX Sport, like you mentioned, a very fascinating team, right? They've really come on strong in ELMS this year. Jamie Chadwick has obviously made a ton of history. How cool would that be to see Jamie on the top step of a podium at Le Mans? That would be pretty cool. Yeah, Jamie's a great driver, and she's really come to her own, and hopefully she'll get an opportunity to maybe race in that Genesis here coming up next season and be, I believe, the first woman that has ever raced in one of the top class programs, at least in this kind of new age, if you will, with the GTPs and the hypercars. So that would be really cool. Yeah, IDEX Sports really solid. You got Andre Lauderer on that grid as well. And another team, obviously, again, I'm kind of going chalk here, but United Autosports as well. It's hard to count them out with their driver lineup. Rainer van der Zand, Pietro Fittipaldi, D.H. Hansen, you got Daniel Schneider, Oliver Jarvis, Benjamin Hanley. I mean, that's a pretty formidable group of drivers coming into this weekend. I mean, heck, D.H. Hansen is going to be racing this week and next week at Watkins Glen for Era Motorsports. So he's going to be rather busy coming up here. A lot of these guys are going to be rather busy with Rainer going back into IMSA. It's going to be a busy run for these guys. But I like those 3 teams. I think as a whole, those are probably the 3 teams that I would be keeping an eye on this weekend. I mean, obviously, as you mentioned, AO by TF is an intriguing option as well. And Algar Pro Racing is always a team that you can never count out either. So there's a couple of different teams here, I think, that will have some make some noise this weekend, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it's going to play out. But those 3 that I mentioned at the beginning were probably the 3 that I would probably most likely say have the best shot at winning this weekend.
All right. 2-part question, same as GT3. Part 1, of those 3 teams you mentioned, who wins?
Ooh. I'm going to go with United. I really think United Autosports driver lineups are really, really strong this year. I think you have so much talent, guys who have so much experience racing in and at Le Mans. I think it's hard to deny one of those teams have a shot of winning this weekend. Again, it's a bit of a crapshoot with the LMP2 class because of it being a spec class and everybody's on the same playing field. I mean, everybody is mostly on the same playing field, but it's a much more similar playing field than LMGT3 and Hypercar, where they have BOP to play with, and there's a little bit more kind of leeway for having a team be better than another team, right? So give me United. I think United's driver talent overall, I think, is what's going to help them get the job done, and I think they're going to have a really strong run this weekend. So give me United Autosports, and I'm going to go with obviously the pro team to win it with Rainer and Pietro.
So outside of United, what one driver in P2 will leave their mark on this year's Le Mans?
I'm going to go with Jamie Chadwick. I mean, only female in the class. I mean, it's not even going to be. I mean, Jamie Chadwick is going to leave a mark at Le Mans. I think she's going to have a great run, and obviously it's her first time at Le Mans, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to be a new experience for her. I don't see how Jamie Chadwick can't come out of Le Mans as a shining star. Especially if she finishes on podium. If that team finishes on podium and if they compete the same way they've competed all season long in the LMS, I mean, that's going to be a pretty big story. So I'm going to go with Jamie Chadwick. I think Jamie Chadwick got a strong performance this week at Le Mans. She's going to turn heads, and obviously that's kind of maybe like the safe pick. But I think it's going to be it might be the most obvious pick because, again, she's the only female in class. She's going to be, there's a lot of eyes that are going to be on her. You know, there's this contingency of seeing more women getting into motorsports. And Jamie's one of those kind of women who are in the forefront of really top tier superior women in racing. So, I'm looking forward to seeing how she fares. And I think she's going to be exciting to watch this weekend.
To your point, fresh off the win in the last ELMS round at Paul Ricard. So definitely you might be onto something, my friend. This concludes part 1 of my 2-part interview with Dylan on the field for this year's 24 Hours of Le Mans. Join us tomorrow as we conclude our preview discussing the marquee class of the race, Le Mans Hypercar. Before we go today, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you're also following us on social media. We are on Blue Sky, X, Instagram, and TikTok, all at the same handle, at NSJQ Podcast. Thanks for joining me, and I'll talk to you tomorrow for another episode of the Not Speeding, Just Qualifying Podcast. Until then, I'm David Lawrence, and remember, you're not living life to the fullest until you're going flat out. So long, everyone.